is next Thursday. If you're interested, the show will begin promptly at 8 a.m. The event is an all-day event where we invite parents, alumni, everyone to come back and participate. It's on our calendar on centralhigh.net. You didn't get your child's report cards, but I've gotten them. So I can give you some numbers about honor roll for second quarter. I just ran some numbers. This quarter, 275 senior class, 171 seniors made the honor roll, 35% of the class. 276, 146 students made honor roll, 27% of the class. The 277, 191 students made the honor roll, that's 32% of the class. And the freshmen, again, 281 freshmen, 47% of the class. We usually see a dip statistically. It always happens. From first quarter, there's a pretty big drop usually. They went from 55 to 47. In my 4 years, no freshman class has done this well. So the 278 get rave reviews from a lot of the faculty, but their transition has been very smooth. I hope the 279 is as smooth as the 278. So total this quarter, 789 students, which is 35% of the student body made the honor roll. So that's pretty good. Admissions, I'm done admissions. 651 students will have accepted seats for the 279. 24 students have accepted seats to come in for 10th grade, and one new junior will be coming in. So we're excited about that. It always about the same. We accept about 1,000 kids. Somewhere between 61 and 69% is the yield. Again, it's around 67, 68%. We know some students before next year will transfer or decide to go to a private school or may move, so that'll come down a little, but it's a very strong group. A lot of schools are struggling to get kids to come into their schools. We don't have that issue. Kids want to be here. We have a wait list of about 50. We've gotten calls from probably 40 of the parents wanting to know when will we find out. We don't usually draw many students from the wait list, but at this point, we'll see. If we have to, it'll be in August, but I don't think we're going to have to go to the wait list this year. Okay? The welcome night for the 279 will be different this year. It'll be earlier. In my experience, May in our auditorium is pretty awful. It's so hot. So because the district sped up the process and got us the information earlier, we're planning on doing the welcome night the 14th of April. And then we have a full day PD for teachers on the 26th. That's when we'll bring the new students in to assess them in mathematics and modern language. So we're going to do it a little faster, get the new kids in the building, and that's always a fun night as well. Architectural selection, we've talked about where we're going with the Alumni Association and trying to raise funds for a Performing Arts Center. We have narrowed the field from 13 architectural firms to 2. We narrowed from 13 to 4, and then we took proposals from those 4, and we went out to all of their studios and did interviews with all 4 candidates. And after doing the interviews and looking at the proposals, we decided to narrow it to 2 and then go visit buildings that the finalists have built already. So last Friday, the committee of alumni, there's one parent who sits on the committee, visited Haverford School and Shipley School to see school buildings that one of the companies built, and then they went to I couldn't go because I had the flu last week, but I was the only person not there. They also went to Swarthmore College, where the other firm had built a building. So it was interesting to get feedback from the members of the committee that have gone out. We've done a lot of research on these committees with these firms. Both firms are outstanding. Both firms could do what we need. So now it's just the committee's going to sit Friday and make a final selection of an architect. So we're moving forward with that project. You're going to hear a lot more about it. We have a feasibility study going on right now with members of the Alumni Association to gauge the interest and to really see if we can raise the matching funds. We have the $10 million pledge. We're going to try to raise the other $10 million plus, if we can, more than that actually. We want to raise $20 million through the Alumni Association. So we'll have more information from the feasibility study at the end of March. But we are moving forward. The main donor wants us to move fast. He wants us to really keep moving, and we want to keep him happy. So we're trying to do as much as we can without overextending ourselves, but it's been a great process. We've had kids involved, parents involved, teachers involved, and once we get an architect on board, The architects will come in and really start having conversations again with people around how can we make our school better. Besides the Performing Arts Center, what else can we do? In the building, when we have this new open space, how can we reconfigure the building to benefit the students? So you'll hear more about that. Just want to keep you updated. The school musical, April 7th to 10th, Susical the Musical. They're already practicing. The kids are here every day. Their children are involved with that show. It's going to be outstanding. We're excited about that. So you'll hear more about that as we get closer. We had 2 teachers on sabbatical. I don't know if it affects anybody in the room. We were able to go out and recruit 2 certified teachers. So Mr. Frischella will be taking over from Ms. Holston in English. Frischella, Mike Frischella is his name. And Catherine Bergeron is the teacher we were able to recruit for physics for Ms. Henry. So both of them are presently teaching in charter schools. They had to give a week, so we're waiting for them to finalize that in the paperwork with the district. They will be coming in to take over those classes, so it should be pretty seamless. The department chairs are involved with that as well. They will give them support. So if you read in the paper, there are 5 or 6 schools that have had 5 vacancies all year. We're not going to have vacancies, so I was able to go out and recruit these people to come here. So we'll be in good shape with that. I think that's really all I have. Oh, and you know, I don't know if you heard about Central's Got Talent. It was a great. The teachers performed. I actually performed, which was embarrassing. They talked me into singing a song. So 3 of our students. If you don't know, Emmanuel Hondo is a great kid. He wrote a song. It was like a rap mixture of the school song, and he convinced the assistant principals and me to sing it. So we recorded it, and he mixed it, and then I just had to lip sync it. So the kids didn't know I was singing it, so there's no way I would have remembered the words. It was easy when I was reading off a piece of paper. But Miss Davenport and who else was there? Who else was there? Mr. Wenger, Mr. Zach. There were so many. Miss Heston. Yeah, there were so many teachers. Miss Cohen. So many teachers performed. Miss Holston sang. Miss MacArthur played piano. A lot of people have talent here besides teaching. So it was a fun event for the seniors. Mr. Horowitz started it a couple years ago, and it's good. It's good that the kids get to see us have fun. So it was great. I just wanted to mention that and give Mr. Horowitz, who's doing a good job with the 275 and plug. And if junior parents, big day next Friday is the junior ski trip. So if your child's going, I think we're up to almost 300 students going on that trip. So, any questions for me? Okay. No questions. Wow.
You're getting off easy this year, man.
I guess it's because the report cards didn't come out yet. Yes, Sean.
What's the substitute situation like now?
100% every day. We get subs every day. Other schools don't. It's because it's Central. My wife doesn't get subs every day. She's a principal. I'm telling you, it's because it's Central. Also, we got some retired teachers from Central that are coming back. Bob Bartholomew, who retired after 271. He's an incredible guy. He's been coming back. Sue Molinari, she's coming back. So we've even been able to recruit and capture some of Central's teachers who are retired, who can just basically pick the jobs when they're here and come here. So today we had 4 teachers out.
Did the district take it back over, or?
No, they haven't.
Still?
And I've been watching the percentages. The company promises by this point they'd be at 90%. Last week they were at 41%.
Oh.
So, and the reason it was taken away from the district because they were in the 65%. So, you know, but we've been able to get good subs as well. People that we know, people who understand Central, who come, who have relationships with the department chairs. So when they come in, it's not like someone who's new to the situation. They come in and we really work well together. So the sub issue has been great. Yes?
I think a lot of the kids are okay with the idea that substitutes are mainly just to make sure that there's good classroom management and hand out any assignment that the teacher who's out has for them. They don't really expect them to teach. But I'm wondering, is there an expectation that they will, for example, all identify themselves, you know, write their name on the board, things like that? Is there an expectation?
Yeah, I mean, they go through training as well with that company. I mean, yeah, they should definitely be identifying themselves. That's why our department chairs don't have advisories, because they're there to support guest teachers when they come, to give them guidelines. Yes?
So you said February 26th is testing for class 279?
April 26th.
April.
April 26th.
Yeah,
Well, not that fast.
Whoa!
April 14th and then April 26th. So the 14th, and we'll talk about it that night.
Okay.
April 14th will be the welcome night, and then 2 weeks, about 10 days later, we'll do the testing on that PD day. And then we'll do makeups later on if people can't make it. Yes?
Is the state budget, how is that evolving?
I heard the governor is asking for 200 million more on what we got this year. Honestly, the budget situation is worse for us this year than it was last year, I report it. Because we don't have any money. Last year in November, I got an influx of money and I was able to put more money in EC to compensate teachers for time and put money in books and got some new supplies in. This year is a mess. It's a mess. I mean, I just did a Kickstarter. I'm doing something with the home and school around development, and one of the reasons we need to get a development officer in a public school is because it's February 10th, and we don't have a budget for this year. And we have a governor who goes out and he's talking about next year's budget. And we haven't finalized this year's budget. So it's frustrating as an educator, as a parent with kids in public school, myself in Philadelphia. It's a head scratcher at this point. We need some adults in Harrisburg to start acting like adults.
I agree. I was just at the state capitol last week about another program that hasn't been funded
Yeah.
for 15-16, and there was nobody in the hallways. They were gleaming, it was clean, all the light fixtures were working. There was nobody complaining. Where's the outrage?
Yeah.
We all need to go and
I agree.
You know what, that's a worthy effort.
No, it is, and I totally agree. It's
yeah.
in a lot of ways, maybe we should have run out of money.
Yeah.
See, I think we
Maybe
should.
we Governor Wolf could have signed this line item veto deal that he did. He could have done that in July.
Right.
So, I don't know. By just keeping doing this and pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off, and they keep saying we're supposed to get $100 million in new money this year. We haven't gotten any new money. I mean, I have less than what I had last year. I'm still sitting and running the school with 2,300 kids with 2 assistant principals. Still have 24 less adults than I had 4 years ago when I started my career here as the president of the school. So I think people think that because we get the job done and we have people, but I have news for you. Our teachers are tired. And, it's tough. I mean, Steve's here. He's going to speak with you in a little bit, a teacher. And he can tell you, it's hard because it's hard on all of us as a school community. The work doesn't go somewhere and hide. We have to keep doing the work, and we do, because of the kids. I mean, the kids here fuel all of us to want the best for them. So, but I know that our teaching staff is tired. So it's tough. It's tough. It's tough for me to keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing when I know that I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. When we had these major cuts 3 years ago, when Dr. Hike made the cuts, I kept thinking to myself, okay, we're going to get through this in a year. Everything will come, we'll balance, we'll get some of the interest payments down, we'll be all right. And it just seems like now it's the pension. Now it's a fair funding formula. We're not doing a fair funding formula until we get more money, because we want more money from before we. It's just jumbled. It's a mess. And everyone I speak with, when I speak with Susan Gabrowski, who's head of Pennsylvania Education Workers, now she's working for the mayor, but she said, I've never seen it like this. You have no one up there who's willing to sit down like an adult and work out a
Work
deal.
it out, right. But meanwhile, they are getting their paychecks.
Of course they are.
So,
Of course they are. So, and we have teachers who haven't had a contract in 3 years, and they're not even negotiating right now. So it's tough. How can you negotiate with a union when you have no money coming from the state? I mean, I know in Bucks County they stopped sending their taxes, the state taxes. They said, we're not sending them to you anymore. We're going to keep them and give them to our schools. So I don't know what the answer is. It just doesn't seem like there's much urgency. The state is 2/3 Democrat, but the Republicans control everything. And that's because of districting, and so I don't know what the answer is. All I know is that we're feeling it, and you can't go every year after year. And I'll give you a quick example. I met with Dr. Height. I'm on his advisory council. So I go in and I meet with him every 6 weeks. And I said to him, I said, this is a simple thing for you because you run a district, but I run a school. And at the beginning of the year, I sent an email. We have this board where we have to ask for certain things to start the school year. So I said to them, I need 100 desks. 100 desks. I have 2,300 students. We're not throwing them off the roof. They wear out. You know when the last time this district bought furniture for schools? How about 7 years ago? And how about, they look at me like, are you insane? You need 100 desks for what? We don't fluctuate. We're the top school in the city. We have 2,300 bodies in this building on a daily basis. Our attendance is almost 100%. Kids sit in them. So of course, the Alumni Association bailed me out. I could make it work, and they purchased them for me, which is like $6,000 or $7,000. But I said to him, I mean, when you get money in, you have to put money in furniture. I mean, it's at that point where we're at a point where we're not getting anything replaced in terms of necessary items. So it's frustrating. And like I said, it's frustrating also as a parent, as my child's in a second grade class in a public school sitting with 35 kids. Now they finally leveled it and it's down to 30, but I know she's sitting in a class with, so for me, a public ed advocate, it's very frustrating. But I know that the charter school down the street's got 25 in their classes. So for me, I struggle. As a taxpayer, and AVI hit my neighborhood is the 5th highest neighborhood in the city, so my taxes went from $1,500 to $4,800 at one fell swoop. So, and I'm Mr. Philly. I grew up in this city. I love this city. I don't want to live anywhere else. My brothers moved to Glenside. I had no interest in living in Montgomery County. I love Philadelphia. But we need to do something as a group, and I totally agree with you, 100%. And people should be angry. I try not to show my anger. Sometimes it comes out, but I'm angry. I really am. Yes?
I'm not much of a crowd activist, but I'm just wondering about an alternate spring break where we go.
The two snow days that we had because of the storm, we're not making up.
So, I mean, but we have some spring break class, right?
And we have the whole, except that one Monday, except Monday.
So, I mean, I keep thinking, like, Madison, Wisconsin was really effective because people went,
Yeah.
and they just kept coming, and they kept sitting there. I mean, it's a little radical for us middle jobs, but I'm just wondering with students coming, teachers being available, if there was any interest.
I think it's a good idea.
If we just sort of,
It's a
I
social
mean,
studies
just the population central alone.
We're giving social studies credit. No, I think,
Community service credit for all of them.
Community service credit, right?
and we have connections up there too. Jim Roebuck is a grad, and
Can the school be involved in organizing that, or?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Mr. McKenna, we're talking about a potential social event. Maybe that's what we organize
We'll rent the
around.
ballroom up there.
No, I mean, instead, let's put our energy into organizing something like this.
Social.
I think it's a good idea. Yes.
Do those emails we send make a difference? I mean, I get emails every night. Email Governor Wolf, email state representative.
Yeah, I'm told that they look at how many people email them. They look at numbers.
Okay.
I think that's what I've been told. I'm not in the political, well, I shouldn't say I'm not in the political world. I feel like I'm in the political world. But from my understanding, if people, a certain number on a certain issue, that makes them start talking. So yes, I believe it does help. It does. I hope so because I send them.
Yeah.
And I call and and they want to tell me why you're not using the money right. I said, how do you know how I'm using it? Why don't you come down? I'll show you.
Yeah.
And you put my budget up against Radnor's or Lower Merion's, and you see what we produce with a quarter of what they get. That's the thing that angers me the most. Yes?
Speaking of Radnor, we had reason to be there. We saw the counseling office. It's the size of all of the administrative offices, just for counseling. At least 4 counselors just for counseling, and then a whole other set of names just for college counseling.
Right.
And they have no more than 1,500 students.
That's true. I mean, it's been like that a long time. It's been like that since we were all in high school. Those schools have more budget. I don't know that we're going to change that. I think if they get a fair funding formula, I think if we're able to raise some taxes, God forbid, and get some more money into schools, I think we're going to reap the benefits of it. I went through this process the last 2 budget cycles where I have to make a wish list. If we get this amount of money, you have to tell us what you're going to do with it. Well, I haven't been able to use either wish list at all. So I'm not going through that process again this year. I already told Dr. Light. I didn't tell him, but been talking about it, like, why are we doing this process if we're not gonna utilize it, so. And budgets start now, budgets start next month, in March. I'll be in I just finished admissions, and then my next big project is I go right into budget. So I don't know how we're gonna do a budget when we don't have a budget from this year, but we're gonna do a budget for next year. So, they do basic enrollment, our projected enrollment is how we do our budget, it's a formula, so that's what they're gonna do. So, well, again, we'll be starting at the bare bones, just like we did this year. So we'll have teachers, and we'll have school police, and we'll have 2 nurses, and we'll have 4 counselors and a librarian if I decide to cut my assistant principal again. Because if you don't know, I usually have 3 assistant principals. This year we've been running the school with 2, which is challenging. It's very difficult to run this school with this many, 100 teachers and faculty. It's very difficult to run a school with 2 assistant principals. But we're making it work, we're doing it, and we're having a good year. We really are. Our PSAT scores came back. I haven't really broken down all the data, but the 8th, 9th grade test is the new test, and I think the national average, the city average was 21% of the kids met proficiency, and our school was like 98%. I mean, so we're so much higher than national and state average. I gave the faculty numbers for 10th and 11th grade. I have them now. I mean, the national average, I think, for 11th graders was 1,013, and our school was 1,132, which is significant. I mean, we're higher than the national, not just the city or the state, the national average. Yes.
Would you talk about the Keystones and the impact of the
Yeah.
2-year moratorium?
That doesn't mean we're not taking the Keystones.
Got it.
So I'll put that out there. The Keystone moratorium that was signed by, it just means that students will not be prohibited from graduating if they don't
Got it.
pass it.
Got it.
We still have to give it. So we will be giving the 10th graders, the 277 students in the building will be taking the English this year, and then the 278 students will be taking bio and algebra 1 in May. So we will still be giving it, but it's just gonna, it won't affect them graduating. Won't affect them graduating.
Graduation.
Honestly, all of our kids pass it anyway, so that would have never really affected us. It would affect the neighborhood school, only 3% of the kids would pass. Yes?
Now, if they took the algebra keystone in 8th grade, did they take it again?
If they passed it, they don't. No.
They don't?
We know
Okay.
who took it. We
Oh, you
have,
do?
we
Okay,
have
good.
documentation on everybody.
Okay.
So if your child passed the algebra 1 already, they don't take it again.
Okay.
Yeah, so last year I think 130 of the freshmen had already passed it. So they just don't come in for that test.
Okay.
Yeah, we track all that. And if they're not on the list and you know they did pass, just bring in proof and we say fine.
Okay.
Because we don't want to over-test people. Yes?
I really appreciated the college night last week,
Mhm.
and I brought my son with me. And I was just wondering if the school offered the ACT and the SAT practice tests.
We do practice work. There's Miss Burton in the library, our librarian can help your child with logging on. There's some practice online tests that they can take. And then we also have an alum who pays for, I think it's 45 students at a time. Jebs comes in and does a class to prepare for the SATs here. And you can they can talk to their counselor about that.
So as a sophomore, they can ask for that kind of assistance?
Yes, absolutely. Especially the online assistance. I don't think that sophomores take the class that's funded, but that's later on in their career, but they can definitely get help from Miss Burton in the library.
Thank you.
Okay? Any other questions? All right. Mr. I, you up next? I'm gonna let Mr. I talk because he's got to go home probably too. His wife's probably